Hello all. Today, we will be examining a creature from North American legend, the Hide-Behind. We will be starting with a short story. The Hide-Behind. Whenever my brother and I came home late for dinner, our dad would tell us about the Hide-Behinds. These creatures, he would say, would follow hikers as they walked through the woods. At the crack of a branch you'd turn around, but there'd be nothing there. Then out of the corner of your eye you might see a dark shape sprint behind a tree. Soon, your paranoia escalates, and you're running through the woods. But there is no escape, he'd say. The Hide-Behind would follow you until your heart stopped from the fright. And I believed him, the child that I was. For a while, I'd never stay in the woods for too long or too late, and I was never late for dinner. But I soon grew out of such fantasies. There were other, real dangers of the woods to fear. Getting lost or preyed upon by bears, the Hide-Behind seemed so immature now. Yet every now and then when I'd linger in the woods after twilight, a dark shape darting behind a tree would catch my eye. For an instant, my heart would skip a beat, but I dismissed them as deer or simply paranoia. I didn't want to believe. I should have listened to my instincts. There's a reason people have an innate fear of the woods. There's a reason we feel like something is following us when we hike home after dark. Like my childhood nightmares come to life, I found myself lost in the woods one day as the sun went down. I walked as fast as I could through the thick woods, trying to get my bearings. No, that's the wrong way. I doubled back, just in time to catch a glimpse of something behind a tree. Perhaps that was the right way after all. I turn around and continue, faster. I look back, and there it is. Again, but this time, he lingers in the open for a while before disappearing behind the trees. Now I'm running. My heart races, the thorns tear at my legs. I need to go faster, I need to go on, but my legs won't run any further. So I'll crawl. I crawled through the thickets until my hands were bloody and raw, and when I could go no further, I prayed for it all to be over. I don't know how I survived that night, what willpower kept me going. But somehow, I evaded those terrible creatures until sunrise and found my way back to civilization. It was a while before I went into the woods again. There's a reason people have an innate fear of the woods. These creatures, these incarnations of paranoia, have haunted man for as long as he's walked in the woods. My advice to anyone in the woods after dark, don't look behind you. Credited to Anonymous. The rest of this video will be Anons discussing the Hide-Behind and telling some stories.
They're on untouched lands and past settlements of natives. They just want to have fun with you, just in a trickster type way. Acknowledge them and kindly tell them to come back later, and they'll sense your fear, so be confident and respectful about your tone and message. If they become a problem, say the same type of message as a prayer to the Great Spirit with a pinch of tobacco and put it by a tall healthy tree near your home. They follow you in the woods sometimes, but not always. It's not scary, they're just doing their job of scouting the land and doing what they can to preserve and grow natural pieces of land. Then sometimes they'll play tricks on you and try to scare your ass off. Just be brothers with them, and they'll dig it. I see this stuff all the time in the woods where I grew up. I can tell you that most of it was in my head, as I have been diagnosed with a form of schizophrenia, but I have a handle on that now and have learned to recognize when I'm hallucinating something. Sometimes I'm convinced that it's not in my head, and I've found that being respectful and leaving offerings has nearly eliminated all hostile behavior. I can still sense them sometimes, even see them and point them out to others, but they rarely do anything but watch.
I've been camping alone before, many times in fact. You feel like you're always being watched, not by an animal, but by a person. The only thing that keeps me sane is the fact that, without fail, I always manage to camp near a Greta horned owl. They watch over me and keep an eye on my fire, occasionally diving down to catch a rat or something and quickly returning to watch me. You can never be scared if you have a spirit animal watching over you.
This may seem like another bullshit story from some random user on the internet, but I do have some experience with something similar, I kid you not. I used to think tons of weird shit went on in my old neighborhood when I was a kid, and rightfully so, as a ton of weird shit did happen there, but that's nothing compared to what happened to me and my brother when we moved. Before, It was usually just ghost stories and strange, unexplainable events, but now it's turned into a funhouse of horror. Me and my brother and his friends would always go back into the woods to make forts and shit, until we started to learn about what went on back there. We kept constantly finding abandoned young animals, random holes dug into the ground, about 1 foot wide, 1 foot deep, and we even found old furniture, way far back in the woods. Well, that was just up near the front of the development. In the back of the development is where the real shit happened in the woods. There was even a little wooden bridge that led back there. I always felt uneasy when I went back there, as if I was constantly being watched, analyzed. Well, my brother told me he went back there and ventured off the path that was made for people to go on hikes back there. He said he got lost for a while, but then found the path again, but before returning to it, felt he was being watched. In a rare act of defiance, he turned, and darted 10 feet directly to the left, and out of nowhere, 2 men speed off into the woods out of some tall grass. He said they ran faster than he'd ever seen humans run before. Later, his friends went back at night time, and again, got lost, only this time, they said they found a bed made out of twigs and leaves, and a cross made of wood, nailed to a nearby tree. I don't know what the fuck goes on in those woods, and a part of me wants to go and find out, but the truth is, it's fucking terrifying. My turn. When I first moved out in the woods in southern Michigan, I was about 10 years old. My house was on 15 acres of land that was up against 9 square miles of dense woodland. I had a 4-wheeler, so I used to carve up trails or re-ride old trails. Eventually I had it to where I had a trail that ran to a field all the way to the north, and another field all the way to the south, which happened to border a Baptist church. One summer, I was riding with my friend towards the north field and found a full-grown goat, strung up by its neck with its belly slit open and intestines spilling out. It looked really fresh, as if someone had done it within the last 12 hours. We didn't know what to think. Looking back, I think we just thought it was someone getting rid of a dead animal in an extremely gruesome way. We did notice that it was odd that they tied it to a tree directly next to the trail, though. My friend stayed the night, and the next morning we drove over to the field by the church. Just as we're coming around the last bend in the trail before we'd hit the field, I slammed on the brakes in order to avoid running over another fresh, disemboweled goat in the middle of the fucking trail. Instead of hanging it, they had chosen to decapitate it. We said fuck this and got the hell out and never drove those sets of trails again. I think it was either some weird group of people. We did have a bunch of kids who would hang around the cemetery down the street at night and drink booze and such, or some person who was getting tired of me driving on their property. I don't know. Shit was weird as fuck.
Washington is known for its hide-behinds. A hide-behind is a nocturnal fearsome critter from American folklore that preys upon humans that wander the woods, and was credited for the disappearances of early colonial loggers when they failed to return to camp. As its name suggests, the hide-behind is noted for its ability to conceal itself. When an observer attempts to look directly at it, the creature hides again behind an object or the observer and therefore can't be directly seen, a feat it accomplishes by sucking in its stomach to a point where it is so slender that it can easily cover itself behind the trunk of any tree. The hide-behind uses this ability to stalk human prey without being observed and to attack without warning. Their victims, including lumberjacks who frequent the forests, are dragged back to the creature's lair to be devoured. The creature subsists chiefly upon the intestines of its victim, and has a severe aversion to alcohol, which is considered a sufficient repellent. Tales of the hide-behind may have helped explain strange noises in the forest at night. Early accounts describe hide-behinds as large, powerful animals, despite the fact that no one was able to see them.
My cousins own a cabin in some woodland in central Florida, and sometimes I camp out there with them. Sometimes, we play manhunt. Some poor bastard draws the short straw and has 1 hour to hide in the woods. Then, everyone else goes after him with paintball guns with limited ammo. If he survives 5 hours in the woods, he wins. If the group catches him, they shoot. He gets to choose the next prey, as compensation. At our latest get-together, I was chosen as the first prey. Awfuck.jpg. My cousins are all redneck hunters. I'm the only guy there who can't differentiate a duck call from a deer call. They give me my hour head start. Jog out in the woods for 45 minutes, then climb a tree. We start manhunt around 6 so that there's some light towards the start and decent darkness by the end, but everyone gets flashlights. Even me. The sun starts to set. As it starts to get dark, I hear rustling, and scrunch up in the tree. I glance down and can barely make out a humanoid silhouette. Assume it's one of the cousins and remain hidden. That's when shit got weird. It walked in circles for a little while, leaving my view, but always returning. After a few repeats of this, I realized it wasn't one of my cousins. It barely even seemed sentient. Its head darted to and fro like a frightened deer. It never looked up. And the more my eyes adjusted and the more attention I paid, the more I realize it's built wrong. It's lanky and wiry and thin, and bent in weird places. After its 5th circle, I hear it. It's chittering to itself. It's like teeth clicking together and animalistic grunts. Resolve to shine light at creature upon its next circle. Worst case scenario, I scream for my cousins, hide in the tree, and hope. I never get the chance. As it circles around again, I hear an audible pop from a paintball gun, a horrible screech, like a cross between a parrot and a goat. And then one of my cousins yelling. I drop out of the tree, and run in that direction, because I am a stupid white person. I find my youngest cousin, Darren, sprawled out on the ground, painting to himself. I run up and call his name. He raises his gun and shoots me dead in the chest. "Oh shit," he says, like he wouldn't have done that anyway if he hadn't ran into the goddamn hide behind. He helps himself up, then me up. We quickly meet up with the rest of the group and Darren finally elects to explain what happened. He says he was sneaking up behind a tree he thought I was in, when he saw something move out of the corner of his eye. He acted on instinct, turned, and fired at it. The paintball hit, and the thing fucking wailed in shock. He screamed and raised his flashlight. He saw long, spindly legs and 2 enormous frog or doe eyes, then the thing unfolded. I think he meant unfurled, but I don't know. He says the thing's body unrolled like a bunch of posters, and then it just wasn't there anymore. I back up his story, saying I saw it, too, but the other cousins just laugh at us and call us homos. That was about 14 months ago. He still brings it up every time we see each other. No one ever believes us. I don't really blame them.
Hide-behinds are best nightmare fuel. I believe in these because anyone who has felt that feeling in the woods can relate. Hiking in wilderness area. Middle of the day so not scary. Go to cross dry rocky riverbed, halfway across hear a throat-clearing sound. Turn around nothing is there. Continue crossing riverbed and hear what sounds like pebbles clacking together. Stop and look for hikers. Nothing still. Almost across riverbed. Best I can describe what happened next is like being buzzed by a bird that you're too close to its nest. Not a bird, I guarantee you that. Birds are not 6 tall. Whatever it was whooshed behind me like a black and brown blur. I could feel the wind of it on my neck and head. Spin around, no bird. Okay. No more games. Leave me alone or stop hiding. Wait for a few minutes, nothing happens. Okay then. Keep hiking, few hundred yards down the trail. Hear throat-clearing sound again. As I slowly and nobly turn around I see a 3-tall mass start across the trail. I don't just see it, I heard it scurrying and it kicked up just as it ran across the trail. Actually fall backwards because I'm so scared. Scramble to my feet swearing and power hike my ass out of the canyon. Hide-behinds are scary as shit.
Has anyone experienced, encountered this specific entity? I used to see it clear as day until one strange day, where I was having lunch with my mother, a lightning struck about 8 feet away from me, melting the TV we were watching. After that day, the hallucination stopped. I always felt a weird sensation whenever I saw this creature from the corner of my eye. It was probably fear, but at the time I had never experienced it like this. It always peeked out of the door frame. It placed its long skinny hand to peek itself out, a half smirk, one set of big eyes and what looked like a typical shrunken head. The skin was burned or mummified. Mind you, I had not yet watched Beetlejuice, where there's a shrunken head with buggy eyes. When I saw the film I didn't make the connection because what I previously saw was very different. I often think about probable traumas that I have now forgotten, but this one sticks out because of how real and bizarre it felt at the time. I realize now that mental health is very serious, but other than visual, physical phenomena I had not experienced social distress, bad grades or any of that. I was a normal kid. Quick drawing to better illustrate it, it moves inhumanly fast.
That's fucking creepy. It reminds me of stories I've heard about the hide behind. It's a creature of uncertain appearance, sometimes understood to be like a bear, other times like a generic rake-looking guy, that is very good at only a couple of things: hiding, and killing. It hides perfectly behind whatever it needs to hide behind to approach you, and then only reveals itself before killing you. You're not dead, but maybe it's still on your tail. If you ever see it, you'll only see it out of the corner of your eye.
Wow, Anon, I had not found anything close to this. It seems eerily familiar too. Gave me shivers when I saw this pic. It gives me some relief to know there's at least some folklore around. It's late, so sorry for forgetting to write these things. I did only ever saw it out of the corner of my eye, that's why I said it moved inhumanly fast. Whenever I tried to see it, it just shifted out of sight.
Gotta go with the hide behind. Hailing from American folklore, the hide behind stalks its prey throughout the forests and woodlands of North America. Lumberjacks and those traveling alone in the forests are its primary prey. True to its name, the hide behind is notable for being able to conceal itself behind both the thickest of oaks or brambles and the most thin of saplings or ferns, should its prey ever grow suspicious of being followed. No one has seen what it truly looks like and lived to tell their tale. The hide behind has shown a proclivity to feast almost solely upon the entrails of its victims and is said to have a deep aversion to alcohol, which could be considered a primary choice of repellent.
Be me. Tengo. Up in the boonies in upper mid-Wisconsin area at cabin property with family. Go out in forest with 3 other kids my age. Once we're out a little ways, me and one other kid start getting random bad vibes. Get called pussies. Find abandoned campfire. Not weird because folks trespass all the time as we aren't up there often. Still, it was enough to scare me and other spooked kid to puss out. Me and other kids start heading back. Look to my left. See jet black oval behind tree, totally motionless. Tell other kid to run and bolt. Other kids make it back a minutes later and see nothing. Come to collective conclusion it was a black bear. No one remembers anything but me. I'm open to this being a standing black bear, but I don't think that's what this was. For one, it was totally noiseless, featureless, and motionless. Plus, I was with one other person who surely would have noticed said bear, so either I hallucinated the whole thing or I figure it must have moved, hid itself alarmingly fast.